Hey everyone, how are you today? In today's tutorial I'm going to first of all cover how to create a cup, and then the next part will be adding the handle, where I'll go over using the difference and union modifiers, and then adding our name to it, where we'll use the intersect and union boolean modifiers. And then that will probably be the end of our boolean modifier tutorials, and then we'll be moving on to something else. Okay, so I'll just open up Blender, and first of all I'll delete this cube and then add a cylinder. I actually like my cup to have a really smooth look rather than quite segmented, so I'm going to increase the vertices, and I'm actually going to double those to 64. Then I'll go to front ortho view and zoom in on it, and what I'm going to do is go to edit mode and Control R to add some loop cuts. I think I'll add in about 5 loop cuts. Once I've done that, I'm just going to deselect all of them. Okay, so at the moment I've got my cylinder, and I'm just going to make a selection of the top view. Now if you're like me, and sometimes when you make a selection it doesn't select the whole thing, that is because we need to click on this icon here, where we can get rid of the limit selection to visible, and clicking on it will make it select everything, including those that we can't see. So let's try that again. B, that's better, it's selected all of them. Just back to number 1, front view. Now what I'm going to do first of all is I want to scale this in a bit at the top of my cup so it's a bit more rounded. So I'm going to scale S. I think I'm going to scale by 0.95. Okay, quite a nice little curve at the top there. Then what I'm going to do with this section, so A to deselect everything, then B to select, I'm going to select those two, and I'm just going to scale those out slightly, so not too much, but no, I don't actually like that. I'm going to undo that. I'll scale again. Oops. About there. Deselect everything, and then I'm just going to bring the bottom part in a bit, and this time I'll scale by 1.1, sorry, undo that, scale it by 0.95. I think that's quite a nice shape to my cup. I might just bring the bottom part in a little bit more. So scale to 0.95 again. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Okay, it's looking great. I'm just going to press Z to go into wireframe mode as well. Now what I want to do at the bottom here is to make it solid, so add some faces. So I'm going to press E to extrude, but just press enter, and then I'm going to scale with S and just press point, enter, and now they're all joined in the middle there. That's great. One to go back to front view, and A to unselect everything, B to make a selection, and I'm just going to select the top vertices there. Now what I want to do is extrude that, but just press enter. Then I'm going to scale it by 0.9, I think is quite good, and press enter. So that's going to be the rim of our cup. Now remember guys, the thicker you create it, the better it's going to be with resisting the boiling water you put into it if it's going to be designed for hot drinks. Okay, of course if it's designed for cold drinks you can make it a bit thinner, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go one to go back to front view, and this time I want to extrude those again, but this time I'm just going to drag them straight down. I'm going to go to about there, and then I want to scale them out so they match the outside layer, probably about there. Looks pretty good. Then I want to extrude again, straight down, scale, pull them out a bit more, extrude, down, extrude, down, scale, extrude, pull it down, and this time I'm going to pull it down to about there. Now I want the base of the cup to be quite thick so that it can withstand those hot temperatures. So I'm going to leave it quite a large gap down there that it will need to fill on the printer. I'm just going to scale these in a little bit, about there, and again I want to give it a solid base. At the moment, as you can see, it's not. So I want to extrude, enter, scale, point, enter. Great. Looks fantastic, guys. At this stage I want to save it because the next part of the tutorial will be adding a handle. File save as, and I'm going to call it cup tutorial.blend, and it's going into my 3D printing folder. Save as blender. 1 to go back to front view, Z to go back to solid, and tab to go back to object mode. Looks great. Okay, now I want to put my handle on there, so I'm just going to press 1, and I want to add a torus. Once I've added this torus, I'm just going to drag it over to the side there, and I want to rotate it on the x-axis by 90. Obviously I need to scale it down a bit, so I'm just going to hit scale, drag it in. Now what I sort of want is I want to have it out as far as possible so there's a big enough hole there for someone to put their finger in when they're having their coffee. And just from experience as well, it's better if you try and place the points of the torus kind of on the flat faces there. So I think that looks pretty good actually. I'm quite happy with that. You guys can play around with it of course until you get it exactly the way you want it. Now what I want to do is apply the boolean modifier. So I'll drag this out, go to my modifiers, add boolean. I want to go to the intersect with the cylinder. Oops, no I don't, sorry. Undo that, right click on the cylinder, boolean, intersect with the torus. No, that is not right either. Hold on a second guys. Difference and union. Right click on the handle, difference with the cylinder, apply. That's better. Now we've got the holes of that the mug actually left, and what I want to do is delete this part and keep this part as my handle. So I'm just going to go tab to go into edit mode, 1 to be front view, zoom in on it a bit more and pan across, A to deselect everything. This time I'm going to use my circle select, which is a really awesome tool. So just press C on the keyboard And on your number pad you can press minus to make it smaller and plus to make it bigger. It's a handy little tool. So think about that big. And I want to select everything on this side. Just double check that, right click, double check it's selected everything on the other side, brilliant. And I'm going to hit delete, and I want to delete vertices, great. So that's looking fantastic. One, to go back to front view and just zoom out a bit. This time I'm going to press tab to go back to object mode, and I'm just going to drag my handle in. I might just go to top view, 7, and zoom in a bit more, pan across, just to make sure that I'm going to get this connection right. Actually, if I go front view. Now when I drag the handle in, I want it to go, actually, and the better way of doing this is to press Z to go into the wire mesh. So obviously the handle needs to go into the outside, but not all the way through onto the inside of the mesh. So I just want to drag that in to about there. So now I can see it's in the first layer but not into the second layer. Z to go back to solid mode. It's looking pretty cool. You can't see anything on the inside there. Looks great. So this time I'm going to do the union. So we will right click on the cylinder, add modifier, boolean, union it with the torus, apply. And if I drag them away, for some reason when I do a union I always end up with a multiple copy, so I'll delete that. Now I've got my fantastic cup with my handle attached. It's absolutely beautiful if I do say so myself. Okay, I'm going to save it again, file save as, this time I'm going to do cup tutorial handle, sorry I might call it cup underscore handle underscore tutorial, save. Now what we want to do is to put our name onto our cup. So what we're going to do for the name is use the intersect and the union modifiers. One to be in front view. Add text, and I'm just going to drag it out of the way, and I'm going to rotate it on the x-axis 90. Drag it a bit further over, press tab, backspace that. I'm going to put tons on mine, and tab to go back to object mode. I'll go into my F area, and I'm going to extrude this by quite a lot, 0.4 I think. You'll see why later. Okay, so it's quite deep there. I'm not going to bother to add any bevel depth to the edges of the letters. And you can play around with the spacing, but I actually think I might keep them quite close for this one. Okay, so I'm happy with my text as it is, so now I'm going to convert it to a mesh, and I'll drag it closer to my, this is where you need to think about where you're going to place your name on your cup. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to grab my cup with my right hand there. If I want people to see my name while I'm drinking, I want my name on the other side. If I want to see my name while I'm drinking, I want my name on this side. Or go with the third option and have your name on the side opposite the handle. So you can do whatever you want, but for this particular one I think I want to see my name while I'm drinking my coffee, so I'm going to put it on the front here. So just press 1 to go into front view, and I'm going to drag my name over a bit closer. And it obviously needs to be scaled, so I'm going to press S, scale it down a bit. I would prefer these letters to be taller, so I'm going to scale them on the Z. Now I want to position them, so I'm going to press 7 to go into top view.